first thing that we're going to do to get started on our tart citron, just into a bowl, I'm going to be adding in some plain flour. I'm going to be adding in some almond meal or some ground almonds to the mix as well. And I'm just going to give this just a quick mix together with the flour and the almonds. And to the flour almond mix, I'm now going to be adding in some butter that I've just cut into cubes. Now, the next part, if you want to do this in a food processor, it is completely up to you. I like to do it the old-fashioned way. Make sure your hands are clean, and you've seen me do this a million times before. I'm just going to get our hands in and I'm going to rub the butter into the flour and just pinch it. So that's what we're after with our mixture, just like that when we've mixed in the butter and the flour. Now I'm going to be adding in some icing sugar or some confectionery sugar. And I'm also going to be adding in some lime rind, and I'm just going to grate that lime rind over the top. And I'm going to add also an egg, but I'm only adding the egg yolk. I don't want the white, so I've just removed that. And lastly, for our pastry, I'm just going to be adding in just a small amount of milk. Now I'm just going to use a spoon for this and just mix in those ingredients into that flour almond butter mixture. And then when it starts to clump together again, I want you to just get in there with your hands and just give it a really good mix. And what you'll find is it will start to form a dough, just like we've got here. So just over a board, I'm going to be just putting on some flour, and I'm just going to knead our dough for about 5 minutes on the board. So that's what we're after, just like that, with our dough being nice and smooth. Now I want you to leave it on the bench just like this for 30 minutes, just to leave the dough to rest. It's very important. So we've let our dough rest for 30 minutes, and now what I'm going to do is just onto the bench surface, I'm just going to put on some more flour. And now what I'm going to do is roll out our dough until I have about a 5mm thickness. And once we've rolled our dough out, what I've got here is a tart pan, and I'm going to be brushing it with some butter, and that'll help the pastry from sticking. So with our rolled out pastry, I've just put it into our pie dish, and any pieces that you've got to sort of fill in, if there's any pieces like that, just push them up with your thumb. And just getting a knife, I'm just going to run my knife around the edges to get rid of the excess. So that's what we're after with our pastry dish. Now what I'm going to do is get some baking paper and just cut a circle, place it down, and I'm going to be using some rice as weights, because we're going to pre-cook this pastry in the oven before we start putting our filling in. So this now goes into a preheated oven at 180 degrees C, and we're going to pop it in there for 15 minutes. So while our pie crust is cooking, I'm going to get started on our filling, our lemon filling. So just into a bowl, I'm going to be adding in some eggs, and this time I'm using all parts of the egg, so the yolk and the white. And to that I'm going to be adding in some sugar, just some caster sugar, and I'm just going to give that a whisk together. And once again, I'm going to be adding in some lemon rind. I'm just going to be grating it in. And once we've grated the lemon rind, I'm then going to be adding in the lemon juice. And lastly, into our mixture, I'm going to be adding in some double cream. And we're just going to give that a good mix around. So that's all we have to do for our filling. We're going to wait till the pastry's cooked. So we've just taken our tart base out of the oven. I've taken off the rice and the baking paper, and I've just got a fork and I've just pricked the pastry. And once we put the filling in, that'll stop the steam from rising up. And I've got our filling mixture here, and I'm just going to pour it very slowly into the case. Now that's going back into the oven, but at a reduced temperature. I've turned it down to 150 degrees C, and we're going to bake this for 45 minutes. So guys, I've just pulled out our tart au citron out of the oven, and I'm going to leave it to cool just here on the bench for about half an hour. And just to finish this off on the plate, I'm going to give it a nice dusting of some icing sugar. I'm just going to finish with a dollop of creme fraiche just over the top. So there's the French classic, the Tarte Citron. It looks fantastic, it smells wonderful, and I can't wait to get stuck into it. So we're going to get stuck into this, and it just looks so yummy. Here's to you. That pastry just melts in your mouth. It is so beautiful. And the lemon is just sensational. All the ingredients for this recipe are below in the description. Give this one a try. It is absolutely wonderful, let me tell you. You guys take care, and I'll see you here next week for another Nicko's Bakery.